பண்ணிடலாமா?
Okay.
ஆரம்பிக்கலாமா?
Thank
ஓகே,
you, sir.
சரிம்மா.
Lily, you can start.
Yes, sir. A hearty evening to one and all gathered here. Be a lifelong student. The more you learn, the more you earn, and more self-confidence you will gain. Says Brian Tracy. Bearing this in mind, I welcome all the research minds gathered here this evening to witness the webinar on research methodology by Dr. K. Kaviarasu. Without further ado, I call upon Mrs. Merin Anthony to deliver the welcome address.
Hospitality has always been the hallmark of PhD CAS. It is now time to kindle the fire of hospitality. What could be more special than a welcoming gesture? I deem it my honor to welcome Dr. K. Kaviarasu, Assistant Professor of English, Vivekananda College, the guest speaker of this day, a guiding star who will throw light on the important aspects of research methodology. I take immense pleasure in welcoming Dr. D. Brinda, the principal of PhD CAS, who is an untiring source of inspiration for all of us to this session. It is my privilege to welcome Dr. P. Ilamaran, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of English, a dynamic personality to this program. I cordially welcome the members of the staff, research supervisors, and scholars from PhD CAS and other institutions to this enlightening session on research methodology. Once again, I welcome everyone to this thought-provoking webinar.
Thank you, Merin. Felicitation is inspiration to others and motivation to whom you are felicitating. I call upon the head of our department, Dr. P. Ilamaran, to felicitate the gathering.
A very good evening to all my learned colleagues, most respected chief guest of the day, Dr. Kaviarasu. And it's indeed a matter of honor and pleasure on my part to offer a felicitation for this gathering. At the outset, I'm extremely thankful to our principal, Madam, for honoring us and providing a suitable platform where all the research scholars as well as the guides to share something about a kind of innovation based on the topic research methodology. I extend my heartiest greetings to all who have gathered on this online platform, including the guest of the day and the guest of the honor, Dr. Kaviarasu. We acquire knowledge through different sources. And the first method, to my knowledge, happens to be the intuition. And when we rely on our emotions, learning experience, and also the ability to learn better from other reliable sources, we make it as a kind of an authority which is self-made for new ideas, because at times even new ideas creep up at different levels, which involve acquiring knowledge through observation and experience. In fact, as people of the literary fraternity, though I plead my inability to this August forum, where I can't use the term scientific method, where I can use the term research. That is to search once again, because to delve into the profound levels of understanding, analytical approach, and that too in a way which could be acceptable at all social norms. Probably this may be the antecedent of what should be termed as research methodology, and I don't want to take much time because the guest speakers here. And one thing which I was really taken aback when I went through the profile of Dr. Kaviarasu. I think it runs to around more than 40 plus, maybe typed or printed in the form of a book. So others may have a profile, but Dr. Kaviarasu has a book on him. It's not about him, on him, which really makes me to feel to have the kind of jealousy which Iago had for Desdemona. So I welcome Dr. Kaviarasu to take on the stage. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. The experiences we have along the way sometimes introduce us to new values that enhance and enlarge our vision. I now call upon Ms. Mohanapriya to introduce the chief guest, Dr. K. Kaviarasu, to the gathering.
I'm honored to introduce the speaker for today's webinar, Dr. K. Kaviarasu, Assistant Professor of English from Vivekananda College, Kanyakumari. He has 16 years of experience in teaching and 11 years of experience in research. He has also won several awards and academic recognitions, including Best Young Researcher Award, Best Researcher Award, and Award of Excellence in Teaching. He has edited 9 books and 7 journal volumes. Besides, he has published 63 research papers and has also presented 85 research articles. He is currently guiding 3 PhD scholars and has guided 10 MPhil scholars. He has coordinated 29 seminars, conferences, and in addition to it, he has acted as a resource person in several seminars and has also chaired conference sessions within and outside India. He has served as a member of Reviewer Board and Editorial Board in journals, member of PhD Doctoral Committee, and in several other professional organizations. We are privileged to have you amongst us today, sir. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Mohanapriya. A true teacher would never tell you what to do, but he would give you the knowledge with which you could decide what would be best for you to do. I humbly ask our chief guest, Dr. K. Kaviarasu, to take on the gathering.
Yes. So good evening, dignitaries online. First of all, I take this opportunity to thank the management principal of PhD College of Arts and Science and the head, Dr. P. Ilamaran sir, for a wonderful warm invite and welcome. I also place on record my sincere thanks to the staff coordinator of this guest lecture, Ms. T.M. Nitya Gaudami, who is known to me even as a student, who is a voracious leader and also a person who wants to achieve many things in her life. So she has the thirst of marching ahead. So once again, I'm very happy to be part of this particular program. The guest lecture on research methodology. So I find the student participants here and may know just how many students are from PhD.
Sir, they are all scholars, they're MPhil PhD scholars of our department.
So, right. So, as you told them. So, let me just present my screen so that you can. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So today's topic is research methodology. And of course, almost all the scholars, MPhil and PhD scholars nowadays are just relaxed because of UGC's one instruction that publication is not mandatory for research. Because people did their research in haste and they started searching for journals and they started writing for journals, be it predatory journals or Scopus or Web of Science indexing journals. So based on the journals, we have to write or modify our articles. This is how research was deviated. So to begin with, I put forth a very simple question. We all need to have these three questions in our mind when it comes to research. What is research? Why is research? And how to do the research? So the whole presentation is all about this with reference to MLA 8th edition. So when you pose the question, what is research? We get a lot of definitions across the world based on different disciplines. So as a whole, research is defined as a creative and systematic process which involves collection of data, documentation of the collected data, and then analyzing and interpreting the data which is collected. So though we have these three steps as basic, I just want you to tell that there should be a methodology which should bridge the gap between these. So discipline-wise, there are different methodologies to guide you how to collect the data, how to document the data, and how to analyze and interpret the data. So in that case, for us, MLA Handbook 8th edition gives us the right methodology. Here, there may be people who do their research on ELT also, or journalism, film studies. But then I would always advise to follow APA guidelines. So we have MLA as the mode of guideline for our research in literature. So based on that, let us see, why do you undertake a research? Most of the times, research, I register my PhD just to get a degree, to get a job. So if I get a PhD, then definitely I will be getting a job. So most of them do their PhD just for the sake of degree. Some people, they just clear their UGC nets, and for them, they are already secure. And now they do the research not to get a degree, but out of passion. And I know a few professors who still, they are not ready to do their PhD. With their MA, they just want to continue their profession. But UGC is very strict and it insists them to register PhD. So why PhD? Why research? It's not just to get a degree. Sometimes people who has the passion to read and do research. They just want to tap funds from some organizations. Through this, they just want to get funds, and through the funds, they want to do the research. Of course, funding is necessary or essential for research, no doubt. But it is not that just to get the sake of funds or based on the funding agencies, our research results should be modified. This is what happens. So this is also a kind of deviation which is taking place. And some people do research for the sake of doing it. But actually, what's expected is research should be creative. Research should make yourself known, and research should establish facts. So these are the three things which we have to have in your mind. Now let us just, in whatever stage we are in our research, let us just stop and think. How much creative is our work? Creative in the sense that how unique is your work? How is it not something which is based or which is similar to other works, and how is it unique? This is the thing which you have to have in mind. Question your research. Next, I want you to ask yourself, what is the outcome of your research? Or what is the takeaway of the research? Or probably, what is something which your research has taught you? Or what have you learned from your research? So, is there any kind of transformation in your ideology based on your research? So this is very, very important. People forget or they never give importance to this particular area. Third, research should establish facts. Here comes the question, what is fact? Fact is truth. So, there are, in the current scenario, there are multiple truths. They say that is multiplicity of truth. In that scenario, it is our responsibility to identify the facts which should definitely contribute to the society. So, by doing all these things, we have to reach new conclusions. Your conclusions should be entirely new. Many times, our research is like applying some theory on some work, which is something similar to some other research where the same theory is applied on some other work. If this be our research, it's high time we changed our perception, right? So our research should give new conclusions, and it have to find solution to unsolved problems. People think that literature or research in literature, it is something in the fictional level. No, literature is a reflection of life. It is the reflection of society. The custom, culture, and socio-political scenario is reflected in literature. And it is definitely the responsibility of literature to give solutions to unsolved problems. Of course, literature has been the base of many scientific inventions. But our researchers fail to give solution to the society or the problems in the society. Once again, it is in a superficial level and it is in a fictional level. So, ultimately, we must see that our research should be of a service to humanity. To what extent our research serves humanity is something you have to pause and ask yourself. So have this in your mind, and with this, let's just move on to the presentation. So we come to know what is research, and now we need to know how to do this research. And to know the method of doing the research, we need to know the different types of research. Of course, there are two famous types of research: qualitative research and quantitative research. People believe that literal research is qualitative and scientific research is quantitative. But nowadays, literature is no more qualitative in its research aspect. We have mixed methodology. So even literature researchers or researchers on literature or literary work can be quantitative as well as qualitative. So the mixed methodology can be applied. When you apply this, then definitely you can find some effective solutions to your problems. So you can find for that space for this mixed methodology in your research also. And then the other side, we have another type of research. We have a primary research and the secondary research. So primary research says why things happen, and secondary research says how things happen. So primary research is it gives the first-hand experience, which forms a base of further researches. And the second research finds how these things have happened. So the second research is always based on the primary research. Most of our researchers are secondary researchers because it is application oriented or theme oriented. And literature can also be looked at to find some problems in a primary level. So we can also think on doing research in a primary level and undertaking primary research. The third and the most popular kind of research is plagiarism, is stealing another author's thoughts. So most of the times, people, they register their PhD, they get committed some family or official works, and then they struggle to complete PhD. And in those days, people just like that, they borrowed books from library or from other sources. They just copy, paste, and they submit it. So it was plagiarized. And if you take the research works published in India, it is so very pathetic. They say that there are almost 30 to 70% of works which are plagiarized. The remaining 30% is probably to some extent of some originality. So this is very pathetic. And to deal with, to look at this in a severe and a kind of very vigilant aspects, the UGC has come out with the plagiarism softwares. So you must know about plagiarism, of course. MLA 8th edition gives importance to plagiarism. Plagiarism is something was not focused in those days, but now it is severely dealt with because research is something which is a kind of a product which develops in the mind, and this particular product should be unique. And as you have a thumb impression which is unique, the research, a product from the mind should also be unique. So this is something which the scientific explanation of plagiarism is. So plagiarism, as we told, it is a literary theft according to Webster's dictionary. Actually, what happens here, they are copying or presenting another person's idea without permission or acknowledgement takes place. This is something which happens very casually. It started from the process of writing assignments. The classroom assignments started in this way. Probably the teachers did not have much time to look into this. Every assignment submitted almost just like that, marked with a single tick. The teachers never bother about where content is taken. If you give an assignment to the whole class, you can see the whole class submitting you something detailed. It means that you can find that the same content is repeated in almost all the papers. So this kind of practice of plagiarism starts in classroom. And the teachers should be very vigilant, and at the same time, the teachers should spend some time in evaluating the assignments and suggesting the students to write. For this, of course, we need to have creative writing and academic writing workshops for the students as well as the teachers. This can take place, this can reduce the level of plagiarism. If we go to universities abroad, and nowadays universities in our country or some private universities also, students, they have to submit their assignment online, and every assignment undergoes a plagiarism check. That means that there'll be a single topic and the students should write their own. They have to think, they have to apply their mind. When this process comes into practice, then definitely they can see that we have reduction in the reduced level of plagiarism. And in plagiarism also, there are different types. Let's just see what are they. We have plagiarism of authorship, which is called as replication. Okay, so just to change the author's name, right? I have seen a few papers like that. Okay, they take a paper from net and they just like to change the author's name. They never bother to change the title even. They just to change the author's name and publish in some other book or journal. So this is called as replication. Plagiarism of words. So what happened most of the times? We copy some words from somewhere and we use it as if we are, it is our own words. Okay, so this is plagiarism words, which is once again very popular, and which is popular or which is most functional or which is there in use. Okay, and plagiarism of structure is called as patchwork plagiarism. What happens is people do not copy word by word. They just copy the structure of the whole that work and they apply. They just use it in their work. So this is also happening. Plagiarism of ideas. So this is called as paraphrasing plagiarism. So many students, they just like that do not copy just like that. Instead, what they do, they read something and they just like that paraphrase it and they get write it in their own words. Of course, the idea is someone else. When the idea is not acknowledged, it's called as plagiarism. See, it is no wrong that you can use that, but you have to acknowledge that this idea is not mine. This is a borrowed idea from someone else. Okay, so this is something which is and it's there is I even I just when I evaluated a PhD thesis from North India, just I was shocked because the whole thesis had words like womanism, ladyism, girlism. Okay, so I was wondering what is this womanism, ladyism, girlism. Okay, and then later I could understand that they have used the assistance of the computer technology and they have paraphrased the words. Okay, and later from my words I was informed that there are some websites like Paraphrasage, Quillboard. So these websites can paraphrase your ideas. Okay, you just copy something from some work, some website or some book, and you just like that paste it there, and it will paraphrase it and give it in a different structure and different form. Okay, but with the same idea is what it is meant. Because I'm sorry about the unwelcoming development of artificial intelligence. Okay, so of course it is once again something which we should have to focus on. And okay, so this is also happening, but it should not happen. See, you should avoid the assistance of these technological gadgets. Okay, of course, for typing you can use, but don't make your computer or your gadgets think for you. Most of the times, what happens nowadays because of that AA integrated keyboard, when you start typing 2 or 3 letters, it will just like that suggest you the remaining words and different remaining phrases, or sometimes the whole sentence you can see getting suggested based on your mode of typing. Okay, so natural language processing and artificial intelligence has gone to such a level that even last week I just was introduced to the OpenAI software. So it is OpenAI is a kind of, it is a website or it's a platform by Elon Musk. So where he introduces a lot of codes. Okay, you can find the codes on artificial intelligence free of cost, and you can just like that take it and you can use for creating any of your artificial intelligence programs. These codes can be used, okay, free of cost. Okay, that is OpenAI. So there is one particular component in OpenAI called as Playground, OpenAI Playground. Okay, so I was introduced to this and I just tried. I asked the OpenAI Playground to prepare a kind of speech, okay, on one particular task, swimming, okay, and I wondered this platform was able to create or generate a perfect speech for 2 paragraphs, okay, about for 2 to 3 minutes, okay, and this is the development. So don't allow your gadgets to think for you. When you allow your gadgets to think for you, then definitely you lose your originality, and definitely you can see you'll be landing with a trouble where there won't be any need of you or any need of human beings. So it is high time. Why I say this is it's high time we modify ourselves or re-equip ourselves in line with our or enhancing our originality and capability. Otherwise, definitely you can't withstand or you can't compete with these gadgets, and you become just slaves to this. Okay, only those people who have the potentiality to think and create can survive. Okay, so this is something which we have to have in mind. So you please have your original ideas. Okay, and there are some times which you can find unintentionally you just take some quotes and you just like that misrepresent the authors. Okay, so it is there also. So it is called as incorrect quotes, and we have yes, this is another thing which people ask. There is something called as salami publications or redundant publications. Okay, see, I have written an article, I have written something, I have written my MA project. Okay, now what I do, I take this article and I publish this article somewhere. My already published article, I send the same article somewhere else to publish, to get it published. So, do you think this is something which is ethical? Plagiarism says that. So, the ethics of the code of plagiarism says that it is a purely 100% plagiarized. So, you are not allowed to reproduce your ideas or your published works. Means every time you write, you have to think new, you have to write new. So that is very, very important. So each and every time you have to have new ideas. Okay, because that is a challenge, of course. And plagiarism of self-own work. So sometimes, as I told you, from your PhD, some people after completing their MPhil, they just take some one chapter of MPhil and they publish it as a paper. Of course, they say it is my own work. Okay. Sometimes what happens, I just write a paper, and in that particular paper, I have one particular paragraph which I find that will be shooting this particular, that suits this particular paper which I am writing now, and I copy that paragraph and I paste it here. Okay, and now what happens? Once again, that's plagiarism. Okay, you can use that. You can say that probably Kaviarasu says, or according to Kaviarasu. You can just use that and you can place it within quotes. Okay, you have to acknowledge even if it is your article. That is very, very important. Okay, so this is just a kind of a model of Turnitin. Probably some of you might be aware of this. I'm just showing this for people who are not aware of Turnitin. Okay, so you can find here in my Turnitin account, I just had I took 2 random articles or random seminar papers from 2 people. Okay, and I just don't want to mention their name. So some papers, yes, conference papers. These are 2 conference papers which are published in our conference. Okay, so we found that one article with 42% and another article with 56%, and these 2 articles are from people of some reputed universities. Okay, so I do not want to mention their name. Okay, so even then, even if it is university people, okay, you can find the plagiarism level is very high. So it is something which the publishers always look into, and they will be rejecting your publication. And even UGC has come out with the notice that you should have less than 10% of plagiarism in your PhD thesis or any publication for that matter. Okay, so you can see here it is a similarity index which you can find 56%. And once again, this Turnitin software it has categorized it. 53% of sources are from internet, and 11% is from publications, and 43% is from student papers. Student papers in the sense that, as I told you already, people in some universities or in reputed institutions, they check the student assignments also through this Trinity. Okay, so these assignments, these submitted assignments are also sold in the market. Okay, and those articles are bought, and people think that those are originally written and those are bought, but actually these authors can easily track those also. Okay, so you have to be very careful, and there is ethical violation in manuscript. Yes, of course, these are the important things which you have to have in mind, that whenever you write any manuscript or a paper, is that people intentionally hide crucial information. So in science research, for that matter, you can find most of the times they will never give the data, source data. Whereas in literary research, you can find sometimes the theory or the core theory is not properly mentioned. Okay, probably they don't want others to imitate their work, or they don't others to know the source of their work. Okay, so you have to mention that. Okay, probably even if you have to acknowledge, definitely. If you fail to acknowledge these important informations, then definitely it is ethical violation. Okay, and sometimes what happens, we alter the data. Sometimes we take some codes and we alter according to our convenience. This is also happening, which is also a violation. Okay, and sometimes we make false statements. You create some kind of quote, and you say that this is quoted by someone else. Okay, so to substantiate your work, you'll be creating some kind of statements in the name of a quote. Okay, so you have to avoid that also. Okay, and misquoting and non-quoting others' works, as we said already, is also a violation. And too many self-citation. Yes, you can cite. Yeah, as I told you already, you can cite your works, your previous works, but do not use a lot of self-citation. Okay, and this is very important. Okay, using contents, that is photographs or text with patent rights without acknowledgement is also plagiarism. Okay, so how this happens, sir? You just like that. I take some photos from Google, sir. The photo is available in Google. Okay, and how come you call that as a kind of a plagiarism? Okay, yes, it is available for you on Google to see and not to use. Okay, so how do I know how to use this, or can I use this or not? Okay, you may have seen this. Okay, you may have seen this in some websites. Okay, these symbols you can find in some websites. Okay, in some website you can see this. Okay, CC is Creative Commons license. Okay, and these are the symbols which you can find on the Creative Commons. Earlier, when you want to claim something to be yours, you need to apply for patent. Okay, then definitely, if you apply for patent, then definitely the royalty will come to you. Okay, but here there is no royalty. But what happens? The content is copyrighted to you. So Creative Commons is a kind of online licensing platform. Okay, so here you can find many symbols which represent very many restrictions. The first, you can see the copyright is crossed, and that means you can find it is something which can be published, can be copied, it can be used for commercial purpose, it can be modified, you can change the license, that is, you can use in your name also. Okay, so only if for this alone attribution is not required. That means if you find this particular symbol, copyright, the crossing of copyright, if you find this symbol in any website, you can use the content in the website without acknowledging the particular website or the author in the website. Okay, so this is something, especially this is something specific for the images. Okay, and also let us see that Then second, there is an image of a person, okay, right, okay. So it is a Creative Commons license where what happens, you can use, you can what, change the license, you can modify it, you can do anything. But what should you do? You have to acknowledge that person, okay. So likewise, you can see, you can have a glance of this, okay. It is something which you can have. I'll send the PPT to you later also. You can have a glance of this also, okay. And see, in general, when you search for what are that? The word research in Google Images, you can find that's beautiful images. Okay, can you use these images in your presentations or in your publications? Okay, this is a great doubt. Okay, and see, I upload something which is my original to make people know that it is mine. Okay, and it is not that I allow people to use it. So you can see the CC right now in images. There is something called as tool. Okay, and tool you can find these are the options. Okay, there you can search for labeled for non-commercial reuse or labeled for reuse. Okay, search for such images and you can reuse only those images in your publication or in your presentation in public. Okay, otherwise you can't use any other images. Okay, and of course, how to avoid this plagiarism? It is we most of the times we are ignorant. Okay, so ignorance is not a bliss or excuse. Here, plagiarism is severely dealt with. Okay, so globally a committee, we call this Committee on Publication Ethics, COPE. Okay, it looks into this plagiarism and it deals with this, and it has a lot of consequences like public disciplinary actions, administrative actions, and the retraction of articles or your research work. So it goes to an extent to blacklist you from further research publication. Okay, so you have to avoid copy paste. Please read, and you just make it assimilated, and you just brood over it and compare it, contrast it, and then come to your conclusion and make it represent it in your own words. Okay, or simply you acknowledge the original source. That is very important. So permission from the copyright owner is mandatory. Okay, and of course these programs are organized, and I definitely want to tell you this because COPE always want this to be sensitized. Okay, and of course our UGC has also come out with a course, a mandatory course in research called as Research and Publication Ethics. So I hope that you all are aware of these things in that particular paper also. So this is the GO, okay, and this is the course structure. And though our UGC has come out with a notification or announcement that quality publication or quality research does not need any publications, okay, as such, please visit. Okay, yes, definitely we will be publishing our work. Okay, so when we publish our work, please visit this particular website called as BEALLSlist.net. Okay, so please visit this particular website because this website contains globally credited journals. Okay, so predatory journals are mentioned, and also you can find some quality journals which are not reflected in this particular page. Okay, now let's get into the MLA 8th edition. So MLA 8th edition, what does it do? From it has come out in a lot of or it has come out with a lot of changes. Okay, there are a lot of updates from MLA 7th edition. So you can find a lot of additions here in MLA 8th edition. Okay. Okay. The most important thing is plagiarism. MLA 8th edition gives importance to plagiarism. The next is review of literature. So it focuses, it insists on a review of literature. So literature review should be given. So it should be done. People think that it is something which is something mandatory for researchers only, okay? Researchers in the sense of researchers in science only, but it is not that. It is something more essential for any research. Let us say we are doing, or I'm doing a research on feminism, okay? Sometimes our teachers may have said, or sometimes some instinct says that there will not be much work done on beloved in the aspect of feminism. Okay. So this is with the little knowledge which we have, okay. But actually, what happens? This is we should not rely on our intuition. We should not rely on some source which is not authentic. Okay? So you have to rely on some database which contains a large number of published data. Okay? Let's come to that also. Okay? So this review of literature, it provides evolutions of the findings or theories within a literature base. It defines and clarifies the problem. And you can see, you must know what the problem is. So that is very important. To know the problem, definitely you must know the relative problems, the problems related to that. Okay. So what are the solutions given to the related problems? Okay. From that you can come to the conclusion for your problem also. So literature review can help you achieve that. Okay. So literature review, the main objective of this literature review is summarizing the previous investigations. So it summarizes the earlier works which are done, and by summarizing this, you can see or you can identify the research gaps. Okay, and you can find our hypothesis is something which speaks about the research gaps. Okay, so this review of literature helps you find this research gaps, and this helps you to suggest the next step in solving the problem also, because you'll be choosing only one solution, only one problem, and probably you'll be giving one solution, and there will be many other problems are untouched by you or others, and you can also bring to light those problems, because when you do the research, you can see these people, these particular problems are untouched, and you can suggest those for solution. So you can find, actually this is how the literature review is done. Okay, so you have to collect all the works based on your theme or your area, broader area of research, and you have to arrange it according to the similarities based on the concepts. Okay, so arrange it based on the concepts, and then you have to find out the methodological similarities in the cluster. Okay, and now you can see the historical development. Okay, you have to create a kind of timeline. So that is very important in review of literature. It's not just like that or that. See, you cannot just like that or that shift or that write or the place something which happened in the or something which is written in the 20th century first and the 18th century next. So you have to stick on to a timeline. So this can help you come out with a kind of wonderful understanding of your problem. Okay, so that is something very important. So a few authentic sources to get the titles or works which are done already or infinite, where you can find the Surganga, Surgamboti, where you can find papers and PhD thesis, and the libraries like UCS libraries, GSU libraries, and some database like ProQuest, and most important is Google Scholar. I do not know how many of you have used Google Scholar. Most of us search for material in google.com. But this is one wonderful website called scholar.google.com. Okay, so please visit scholar.google.com, and if you want to search on any of your topic, okay, you just search, you just leave the keywords there is scholar.google.com, and you can see that there will be hundreds of thousands of articles based on your work and related to your work. Okay, so that can really help you, right? So this is very important portal for you here to do the review of literature. Okay, and sir, after doing this review of literature, what should I do? Okay, of course, even when you do this review of literature, you have to organize the material. So what should you do? Always see. Sometimes people think that review of literature is just a thing it's a separate track, but it's not that. So review of literature is something which helps you to progress, to evolve your ideas. So you can very well quote text or quote ideas or use quotes from the already published works. Okay, so those texts or those research articles which you find there in the review of literature can be a wonderful secondary source or supplementing resource for you. So please keep track of the sources. Okay, be it the source of pertaining to the review of literature or any other source which you read related to your literature. So that is something where you have to classify this. So you have to classify the sources based on primary sources, secondary sources, and references. Primary sources are sources which, let us say that if you are doing your research on Shakespeare's dramas, so the Shakespeare's original, the dramas, the text from the am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
There is some power problem. Okay. I think I've shared my screen. Okay, hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So we have to keep track of the resources. So primary source, secondary source, and you have to be very clear that you have to keep track of the reference works also. Sometimes we just go through some books which are related to that, and we think that it is just for our reference, but we will not keep in track of that. But of course, at any point of time that may be needed for you to substantiate your ideas also. Okay, right. So you have to create working bibliography also. Most of the times, researchers nowadays, they do not do this working bibliography and record essential publication informations and page numbers and note other useful information also. So when it comes to website, okay, you have to bookmark the URL. Most of the times you do not do this. Bookmarking the URL is not done. So it's just like that, you read it and you just like that for that. Copy somewhere, you take a screenshot, but what happened? You miss this. But of course, you configure your web browser with your email ID and please bookmark Control D. Yes, if you just press the button Control D, you can see in this particular website will be bookmarked, which you can retrieve later. But very important thing is record the date of access. That is very important because your content which you have access to today may not be available tomorrow. So whenever you access any content from any website, please record that. Mention the date of access also in somewhere in your probably in your Word document, or there is one particular software called as OneNote which can be helpful for you. Okay. And these are the 5 important things which you have to look into. So you have to find who the author of your work is. Okay, so that is very important. So now coming to the documentation section of MLA 8th edition, this is very important. Who is the author of the source? And what is the title of your source? And how was the source published? Okay, so that is very important here. And where did you find the source? And when was the source published? So here, the questions 3 and 4 can contribute you to one particular idea called as container. I will come to that later. Okay, MLA 8th edition, it talks about kind of what are the groups your publication details into containers. We will come to that later. And as I told, note taking, yeah, you can summarize, paraphrase, or you just like that take quotations. Earlier, the people used note cards, but now you can use this particular software called as Microsoft OneNote. This is going to be of great use for you. Okay, and now coming to the documentation. Now, yeah, documentation and citation are the 2 important, very important aspects of MLA 8th edition. Okay, MLA 8th edition or previous editions even. Whereas the 9th edition gives importance to what that the mechanisms also. You have what is the punctuations, spellings, grammar, and pluralities. All these things are taken care in 9th edition also. In 9th edition, whereas in 8th edition you have documentation and citation. So when it comes for documentation, you have two kinds of what is that documentation: parenthetical documentations and works cited. Earlier you had the endnotes bibliography, okay, which is not just given importance in the 8th edition. Okay, 8th edition gives importance to parenthetical documentation, which is there, which you what are mentioned in your content, in the body of your thesis or dissertation, whereas works cited is found which you provide in the end of your thesis or dissertation. Okay, so as I told you, there are different styles of thesis writing, APA and MLA, and we are using MLA. Okay, and coming to the first component, citation. Okay, so though parenthetical documentation is something which is there, you find in the body of your thesis. It is always better to know how you cite, and based on this, you can just use the references in the parenthetical citation. Here, unlike in 7th edition, you have something called as you will be having some different kinds of punctuations. So there will be a lot of confusions. Okay, and there will be author, full stop, title, full stop, and then you will be having the word editor, comma, and version, comma, number, comma, and then publisher, and then you will be having a colon and the publication, and then the date of publication, and you will be having till 8th edition, sorry, 7th edition, the format of the citation was different, but in 8th edition, this format of citation is being very simplified, and one particular component is done away with here. Okay, and comparing to the 7th edition, two components are done away with, you can say. Okay, in 7th edition, you had the year of publication there, of course, the place of publication, and the publisher, the details of publisher. Okay, so year of publication is there, place of publication is there, and the details of publisher is also there. Okay, whereas here the place of publication is done away with. So place of publication New Delhi, New York is done away with in the 8th edition and the 9th edition. Okay, so you may ask now, sir, what is this location? So when the place of publication is not there, what is this location? Location does not mean the place of publication. It means the location of the particular content in the text. Okay, so we will see that next. Okay, and in 7th edition, towards the end, you need to add the medium of publication. You need to say whether it is a print media or web or CD or audio disc or whatever it be. You have to mention the medium of publication also in 7th edition. Whereas in 8th edition, it is also done away with. Okay, so you no need to mention the medium of publication here. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of this also. Okay, so the core elements are this. Now you can see that the punctuations are very simplified here in the 8th edition. Author, full stop, title of the source, full stop, and then container. The container contains the title of the container, contributor, version, number, publisher, publication date, and location, full stop. So 3 full stops, and you can have a number of commas in between. So you can have these commas only in the container, okay? And author, full stop, title of the source, full stop. So you have to have this in your mind, okay? These are the only things. So what is this container? Okay, container, let us say that there is a work published in a print media, okay? and the same work is there in online media. Okay, in that case, what happens? You can have more than one containers. Okay, the details of print media will be given in the first container, and the details of the online media will be given in the second container. I will see that. I will show that also. Okay, so have this. This is the syntax which you have to have in your mind. Okay, the core elements of citation are authors, title of source, title of container, contributor, version, number, publisher, publication date, and location. So here there is another unique thing called as a contributor. So contributor to this particular component in container, M&A edition gives room to that various contributors can be acknowledged here in this. Okay, let us see that. Okay, now you all know if you have done your methodology 7th edition is citing how to cite an author. So the author of the book. Okay, so if it is a single author, then of course you know that the last name comes first and then a comma and the remaining names will be there. Okay, so you have to inverse the author. So last name first and then comma and then the remaining names and then full stop. So this is the syntax for the single author. Okay, when there are two authors, then definitely, of course, you have to inverse the last name of the first author. Okay, so it is Michael Doris become Doris comma Michael and then comma, and you have to introduce the word and. Okay, not the symbol, the letter and the second author's name should not be inversed. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so have these things in your mind. So because in your examinations, if you understand this, you can easily write the examination even without any kind of notes. Okay, single author means the first author, there is only one author means the last name comes front and comma and then the remaining names. Okay, and if there are two authors means only the first author's name is inversed and then the next author's name remains the same without any kind of inversion. Okay, and if there are three or more authors, what should you do? So if there are three or more authors, you just inverse the first author's name and place a comma and introduce this word et al. Okay, E-T-A-L, et al. Okay, so this is another syntax. So single author, two authors, three or more authors. So this is the syntax. So sometimes what happens, there would we can't find the author of a book. Instead, there will be editor of a book. Okay, so the same goes with the editor also. Okay, whereas in the author, the book, only for the three or more authors you'll be having this et al. Okay, whereas if you find that what are the book edited by people, there are two or more editors, then definitely you can mention et al. You just inverse the first author's name and then you just mention ETAL. Okay, so that is, and here there is this editors have gone to the next line. Okay, it has gone to the left side. Okay, actually what should you do? Baron, comma, Sabrina, Alcon. So this is the first author's name, comma, et al. Dot, comma, and you have many editors, so you have to mention editors. Okay, so this is the syntax. Okay, so you have to have this in your mind for book authored by authored book. You can have two authors and you can have and. Okay, and more than three and more you can introduce et al. Whereas books edited by people means that then definitely you have to introduce this et al. For two authors or two or more authors editors. Now there is room for bringing the acknowledgement or acknowledging or giving importance to the translators in the first part. Okay, so you can find that here. So whichever role is played, see, you can find here. You can Richard Pever and Larissa Volkonsky. These two people are translators. So what happened? So there are two people, okay, and these two people are considered, these translators, you have to have in mind, translators are always given, the rights like authors, okay, translators are like authors, okay. So you can use the syntax of authors here, not the syntax of editors. So if you have editors means two or more editors, you will be having the first author inverse and then et al. Editors. Okay. Whereas here what happens? It is the translators. Translators enjoy the privilege of the author. So what happens? The first author inverse and then and the second author, comma, you have to mention their role, translators. Okay. And then you can have this, title, italicized, and now we can see by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Okay, what happens here? See, the author's name come later. Okay, we'll see that also when you come to that. Now let us focus on the author alone. Okay, here. See, the translators are given importance because these are the words of translators. Okay, not the authors. Okay, so the translators are given importance, and you can find a full stop there. So in the name or in the place of the author, these translators' names are there, right? So this is very important, have in mind. Now the same way you can find another example where the translators' names are there. There are translators earlier there. Whereas the first example is a book authored by an author, okay? Whereas in the second example, this book is not authored by someone. It is an anonymous work edited by Sarah Anderson Pearson. Okay, Sarah Anderson is the editor. Okay, here what happens once again, and Alan Sullivan and Timothy Murphy, they are the translators. They enjoy the privilege of the author, and they come in the first place. Okay, and then the text, and now it is edited by Sarah Anderson. So Sarah Anderson, you can see here the name is not inversed. Okay, only when it comes in the first author's position in the beginning of the citation, the name should be inversed. In other places, names should not be inversed. Have that in mind. Okay, so you just have this the syntax of the name of the author alone first. Let us go to the remaining things later. Sometimes pseudonyms. So MLA 8th edition and 9th editions gives importance to this once again. Pseudonyms. And the 9th edition, once again, it says that pseudonyms, instead of pseudonyms, you can use the author's name even here. Okay, let's not get into that. Okay, now let us see. See, as I told you, MLA 8th edition and 9th edition gives importance to plagiarism-free content. Okay, so earlier it was believed that only those content which were published can be considered as a published source. Okay. Other sources would not be considered as published sources. And here, MLA 8th edition clearly says that anything which is on return or which is published, which is found online or offline, anything which is written and which is led to public to read is a published material. Okay, so even if you just listen to someone speaking somewhere else on the road or in the bus, you can acknowledge that particular person. Okay, you have to acknowledge. Okay, that is very, very important. So in this case, you have the Twitter comments, YouTube comments, Facebook comments, okay, LinkedIn comments. All these comments can also be considered as sources. Okay, those comments can also or should also be acknowledged. That is very important. Okay, so come, let's see here. Okay, you can see the citation. Let's come here. there is a rule that the author's name should come first. Okay. Now in this case, okay, in this case of Twitter comment, what happens? So this is the username. Okay. There will not be the author's name. Yes, of course, though we have the author's name, this is the username. Okay. So Twitter username. So this username becomes the author's name of this particular tweet. Okay, so you can find it at Persian QE dot. Okay, so this is the username. Now let us see what happens. You find the title. Okay, the title is the content. Okay, let's come to that later. I will talk about this in the next section. So you just focus on the username alone. Okay, so username of any social media can be mentioned here. Okay. Even if it is your Facebook account, you just see what is the username given before the comment. Okay, you just mention that username here. Okay, so I have given Twitter as username because Twitter has a kind of unique username. Okay, that's why. And this is once again, this is a pseudonym. Okay, it is a pseudonym once again for this particular book. The author's original name is not mentioned. The pseudonym of this author, Sandal, is mentioned. Okay, no problem. You just mentioned the pseudonym of the author. Okay. Yes, sometimes there will be anonymous publications. Earlier, till some edition, what happens? There is any anonymous publications, you have to mention anonymous. Okay, instead of or in the place of the author, you have to mention anonymous. Whereas 8th edition, it has removed this concept of anonymity, and it gives importance to the text, the title of the text. Okay, so directly you can just bring in cite the title of the book here in italics. Okay, and then the other role. Now then followed the book's name comes the details of the container. Okay, we will see the container later. So that is container. Okay, so after beyond you see the details of the container. Okay. So you found, so for just recollect. First, we have as author of a book, editor of a book, and then translator, and then you find pseudonyms, and then you have anonymous. So these are the different types of authors. Okay, and then like the translators, you can have others also. I will tell that in the next slides. So next section is title of the source. So in the components of the containers, the first is title of the author, now title of the source. Sir, may ask, so what are the title of the source? Title of the source means the title of the text which the author is directly related to. Title of the source means title of the text which the author is directly related to. Okay, you have to have this in mind. Okay, because we will see that that will be needed here next. So first of all, let us see what is title and what is subtitle. Okay, so here you can see there is only one title, Kiss of the Spider Woman. Okay, it is in italics. Okay, so this is the title. Whereas in the next example, you can see other-mindedness. There, other-mindedness is the title, whereas the emergence of network culture is the subtitle. The subtitle is always introduced with the colon. Okay, you must have this in your mind. So you can find in the book. Okay, sometimes we'll be having the main heading, and there will be a small heading beneath that. Okay, or below that, and that is called as the subtitle. You have to mention the subtitle also, so that is also mandatory. Okay, and you can see, so this is the example of a title of a book. Okay, I can also say this is an example of the title of the book. Okay, so book in the sense that it is a published book. Okay, so Kiss of the Spider-Man is the title of a published book. Okay, in the in the front page you can see this is the title of the book, so it is italicized. Okay, any published work is the title of the any published work is italicized. Okay, so the title of any book is italicized. Okay, that will be fine. Likewise, you can find Emily Division also is a liberal in giving importance to television series, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever it be. Okay, so as I told you, okay, so here is the title HUSH, Hush. Okay, Hush is the episode, name of the episode. Okay, Hush is the name of the episode, so it is within double quotes and not italicized. Okay, here there is no author, so directly it goes into the title. Whereas Buffy the Vampire Slayer is not the title, but it is the title of the container. Okay, that means probably it is the name of the series. Okay, it is the name of the television series. Okay, and Hush is the episode. Okay, right? Title of the episode. So the title of the episode is directly connected to the reference or the text. Okay, and this Buffy the Vampire Slayer is only a kind of the broader title, so it comes as a kind of a title of the content. Let us see that. And also here, when you come for a website or web page or an article in a website, this is the case. Okay, so you can find the author there, and the author's name is inversed, and there is a full stop. And now the reading brain differences between digital and print. This is an article written by Holmikel. Okay, this is an article written by Holmikel in the website So Many Books. Okay, so the title of the source means this article is the title of the article is the title of the source. So that is put within double quotes, whereas the name of the website is not the title of the source. As I told you, title of the source directly relates to the author. Okay, author of this particular citation or reference or quote. Okay, so that is it. Okay, now it is not necessary that the title of the source should always, that is the second component always should be within italics. Okay, if it is just part of this, part of any publication, it is double quotes. It is within double quotes. Whereas the title of the publication is always in italics, whether it is something which finds its place as a title of the source or title of the container, wherever it be, the published work, the title of the published work is always italicized. You have to have that in your mind. Okay, and likewise I told you tweets. Okay, so in a book you had the title of the book, the title of the source as the title of the book. In an article published in a book, whatever the article's name is something which comes as the title of the source, and the book's title is there in the title of the container. Whereas here in a Twitter tweet, what happens? The whole comment, okay, the whole comment or the whole tweet becomes the title of the source. Okay, the whole tweet becomes the title of the source. Have this in mind. You are not allowed to edit it. You are not allowed to reduce the content. Okay, the whole content should be there. Okay, right. And this is the format where you can find. Once again, Twitter is once again it is the title of the container. Let us see that next. Email messages can also be cited. Earlier, it was not allowed. See, what is the title of the source? Where see the author, it is from Anthony T. Boyle. So the author's name is inversed. Okay, and the title of the source is nothing but the subject there. Okay, the subject, of course, if you send the email to someone, it is utopia. When you find a reply from that particular mail, you can see RE:utopia. Okay, utopia is the subject. Okay, subject there in your email. Okay, when it is a replied, it is RE. If it is forwarded, it will be FW. Okay, so you can see for that the codes there, and you can use it as it is, as the title of the source. Okay, and it's very clear. See, there is an author, okay, who sent this email, and the subject of the email is this, and it is received by so and so on particular page. Okay, so this is how MLA 8th edition gives you a kind of liberty to cite anything, everything from where you take the sources. Okay, so you can have a kind of conversation with your friend, the teacher, and those things can also be included here. Okay, so now let's come to the third compartment. So the first is the title of the author, then the title of the source, and now we are entering into the container. Okay, a kind of unique classification of MLA 8th edition. So in a container, you can find the first component is title of container. Okay, so I will once again mention it here. Okay, so irrelevant elements can be omitted here. That's a rule that if there is no contributor, you can omit that contributor. If there is no title of container, you can omit that. Probably because if you find there is a published book, okay, if there is a published book, let us say that Gora, okay, so Gora is a published book, okay, or Areopagitica is a published book, okay, or let us say that that is a book Paradise Lost is a published book. Okay, now author Milton John, first up, title of the source Paradise Lost, book 2, that will be subtitle. Okay, and then you won't be having the title of the container here. You will directly get into the publication detail. Okay, so whichever detail is available, you can make use of that. Okay, so here is a wonderful example of one particular article. See this, if you see this framework, you can see Goldman Ann is the author. Okay, author of this particular article called as Questions of Transport Reading Primo Levi Reading Data. Okay, so this is the title of the article. So it is within quotes. So once again, that is full stop, and you have to have in mind whenever you have double quotes here in the title, the full stop should come before the quote. Okay, right? That means you have to close the quote only after the full stop. Okay, some people they just bring the full stop after the quote. No, full stop should come before the quote. Okay, so that is very important. And now let us come to the next segment. It is published, this particular article is published in Georgia Review, so it is italicized and comma. Okay, and the volume and the number, volume 64 and comma, and the number 1 comma, and then publication date. There is no publisher, details of publication for a journal. It is not necessary. Okay, now coming to the publication date, you will be having the date of publication or month of publication or year of publication. Here in this particular case, you have spring 2010. So and then the location means the page number in which you can find this particular article, Questions of Transport, in this particular magazine, Georgian. Okay, so this is very important. And coming to the capitalization, you have to see that the author's name is capitalized first, and title of the source is of course there in the title case. Okay, you know very well title case, that is the lexical words are all capitalized. The first letter of the lexical words are capitalized, and the first letter of the functional words are not capitalized. Okay, that you have to have in mind. The functional words should not be capitalized. Okay, now coming to the next component, the first letter of the container whatever it be, okay, whatever it be, the first letter of the container should be capitalized, okay. In this case, it is the title, so title case. The first letter of the remaining components of the container should not be capitalized, okay. Probably, if it is a contributor, name of the contributor, definitely the name is capitalized. It's not, there's no doubt. And after that, if it is editor, translator, whatever it be, once again, small letter. It should not start with a capital letter. Volume, number, spring, meaning people think that spring should have a capital S. No, right? And page number, if it is only one page, means P69, and there are more than one pages, PP69 to 88. And then finally, the full stop. Okay, so this is the format. So have this in your mind, and I will give you the presentation also. It can help you. Okay, and see here, as I told you, there are two containers. Okay, one is the container. See the same article published in a print version, and the same content is there available online in one public digital library. Okay, so you can see the title of the container. It is Health Trust Digital Library, and that is the title of the container. The library's name is the title of the container, and the location is the web link of that particular text available in that library. So you can find these. So an article or a source or text can contain more than one containers. Okay, so this is it. So with this introduction, let us just get into this. So this is the syntax. Okay, syntax of the containers. You can see. So just leave the first two components: author's name, full stop, and the title of the source, full stop. Now come to the title of the container. Title of the container is italicized here because it is the published work of art. Okay, it is a published work of art, and the complete work of Edgar Allan Poe, it should be italicized. I'm sorry, there is a kind of a mistake here. The complete works of Edgar Allan Poe, it is italicized. Likewise, since the second example has two containers, once again, after the full stop, you start the next container. The Hathi Trust Digital Library should also be italicized. Okay, that is something very important. So here is the syntax for the title of the container. Okay, and see, this is a example of the two containers. So this is a kind of particular website where you can find the EBSCO host is a kind of another website where you can find a lot of research articles. EBSCO host, if you just have access to this particular EBSCO host through your institution's enlist library, okay, you can just visit. And not only this, but also the JSTOR access, if you have through your enlist. In JSTOR also you can have this. Okay, there will be a lot of print journals. Okay, the print journals details will also be found here in JSTOR database. Okay, so any content in JSTOR can also have two containers. Okay, one the original published details, original publication details, and the publication details in that particular online database. So this is multiple containers once again. Next, first the title of container, and now contributors. So in the book you will be having a lot of details. I try to consolidate it. Okay, contributors once again. What happens? MLA 8th edition is liberal enough. It gives room to you to add or acknowledge n number of roles, right? Let us say it is this particular serial Hush, but in the series Buffy the Vampire Slayer is created. See, you must have in mind Hush is the title of the source, so that there ends the what is that second component. Okay, now comes the title of the container, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the contributors means here created by. Okay, whereas when the same name comes in the author's position, you have to mention as written, Joss, creator. Okay, when the same name comes in the title of in the position of the title of the author, you have to mention as written, Joss, because you have to use the what the author's name, and then creator. Okay, whereas here the contributor's role comes in the beginning. Okay? When it comes in the title's position, the contributor's role comes after the author's name. Okay, whereas here what happens, the contributor's role comes first. Okay, so created by, authored by, performance by, okay, music by, direction by. So you can have n number of roles here. Okay, so that is very important. So contributors, so it allows you to have translated by, even it allows you to have uploaded person's name. Okay, if you have a kind of YouTube video, okay, you can say that uploaded by, okay, someone who has uploaded the video. You can have edited by, someone edited the videos or edited some books, adapted by. Okay, it is it may be adapted, it may be an adaptation, okay, from someone else. Okay, so adapted by, and directed by, illustrated by, and introduction by. Yes, of course, if you be having a book, okay, authored by some famous writers, whereas you'll be have a wonderful introduction to this particular book by some eminent person. So you can also acknowledge that person also here as a contributor. Okay, introduction by, and then narrated by, performance by. So you can have n number of contributions here in the contribution section. Okay, so now comes the next component, version. Okay, when it comes for version, you have different types of representation of this version. Now in this case, the Bible is the title of the source. So it is, you do not have the author, so it is the title of the source. So you italicize this. Okay, and now next is you can see the what kind of version is it is. It is authorized King James version. Okay, it is not italicized. Okay, authorized King James version. So authorized A capital, and King James version is kind of it is a title case because it is an authorized version. It is the, and here you can have expanded edition, updated edition, 7th edition. Okay, if you have MLA, 8th MLA handbook, okay, then 7th edition or 8th edition. Okay, so for edition you can have ED. Okay, unabridged version, director's cut when it comes for movies. Okay, and MLA 9th edition, it gives room for these versions of softwares also. Okay, version 1.3.1 is the version of the software. Okay, so that is that. And now you can see that that is the next section is numbers. So earlier we saw the volumes, and now is the numbers. So you can see here in the containers, how do you represent these numbers? Okay, so you can see here in this example, okay, it is the author's name is inversed, and you have a full stop, and now the title of the source is italicized, and once again a full stop, and it is a 2nd edition. So it is the edition, and now you have volume number. So volume 2, this is the number. Okay, and then you have the publication detail. Okay, let us come here, volume. So you have 2 different examples here. The first example, you can see volume as V small, and in the second example, you have volume with V caps. So the reason is that in the first example, before this volume, 2nd volume, you have the 2nd edition. Okay, so in that case, what happens? The V is not capitalized because here the whole section starts with the number 2, okay? But here, what in this next section you can see, the next example you can see the container, the whole container starts with this volume 5. So V is capitalized, okay? So this you have to have in mind. You should not get confused regarding this particular capitalization, okay? And the third example, once again, PMLA is the title of the container, and volume, comma, number, comma, so everything is in small, okay? So likewise, you can find season 4, comma, episode 10, okay? So these are the volumes and numbers you can see, right? And the next component of the container is publisher, okay? So how to give the publication details? What happens? So usually what happens, you just mention the publisher's name, right? And of course, this when it comes to a kind of single authored publication, it is let us say Shakespeare's William Shakespeare, comma William, The Tempest, italicized, full stop, Oxford, comma, which year? Very simple. That's enough. Okay, that's enough. Very well. Whereas here, what happens when there are two publishers? When there are two publishers involved in publishing one particular book, both the publishers will be mentioned. Okay. When it comes for film and television series, the producer, the production is given here. Okay, 20th Century Fox, and there are more production companies involved. You have to acknowledge all the production companies. Okay, so that is very important. So when it comes for the website, this is very important. The title of the website most of the times becomes the publisher. Okay, otherwise when it comes for the website, you can just scroll down. So most of the time the title of the website itself becomes the publisher. When the title of the website and the publisher's name are same, you can just drop the publisher's name. Okay, it's not a problem at all. Whereas in some cases, the publisher's name will be something different in the website. So how to find that? You just go to the website and you just scroll down. Okay, when you scroll down towards the end of the website, you can see a copyright symbol, C and copyright symbol. Okay, and next to the copyright symbol, you can see a name. Okay, that name is the publisher of this particular website. Okay, most of the times Wikipedia, Google. So there will be this would be the title of the website. At the same time, this will be the publisher also. Okay. So this is all about the publication and publication dates. Okay. So when is it published? So that is very important here. So you can see here. Normally, when you take any book, I have not mentioned it here because when you take any book for the publication, date of publication is the year of publication. Okay, so just the year finally, let us say when it is printed or when it's published. Okay, the revised print, when is it published? So you have to mention that particular year of publication. So this is something related to the articles. Okay, so articles on the website, you can find you have to see when this particular article is published. Okay, you have to mention the date and probably this is the format which you have to use, right? 28 DEC dot and then year, full year, right? So this is very important. And then you have to give the I will say we will come to the location. Location is this particular web link, right? So here publisher, YouTube is the publisher, and what happened? It is uploaded by someone on particular date, when 28th Jan 2012. And now coming here to some comments in some blogs. Okay, some comments in the social media or some blog publications. You can see here, if you find the time is there, you can mention the time also there. Okay, mostly what happens when in almost all the comments or in any post in Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, okay, you can find the time would be there. Okay, so it is better to have the time if it is available. Okay, along with the date, and this is the format. So this is all about the publication. So the containers, you can see the each and every component of the containers are just explained, and now coming finally to the location of the container. Okay? So coming to the location of the container, location means from where this particular article or where this particular article is located in the print or in the online media. Okay, so as I told you already, in print you can see this. If it is only one page, you just mention this. If this particular article printing by the numbers by John Belton in Film Quarterly, if you are just to mention only if it is only one page article, then you can mention P and 58. Since it is a multiple page article, so we mention as PP dot and PP dot is the abbreviation. Okay, so it is not the full stop. Okay, PP dot is an abbreviation 58 to 65, right? And when it comes to website, okay, the location of this website is, see, mostly you can have the DOIs. Okay, DOIs. See, DOIs are the detail of indexing. Okay, so you can find the indexing database website has this particular format: https:// and doi.org/ and then you'll be having a particular identity. Okay, so most of the websites, when you cite, okay, the locations is https:// is not necessary. Okay, whereas when you cite this DOI, definitely you should have this HTTPS. Okay, that is very important. Only when you cite this DOI, that is very mandatory, right? Otherwise, this HTTPS is not mandatory. But MLA 8th edition, it allows to include HTTPS. Okay, it's not a problem. Okay, and in containers you have other supplement elements also. Okay, supplement elements you can have probably before the container or after the containers, like here translated by. Okay, so you can have the author's name and you can have translated by here separately, but you no need to what that follow this, because you can bring this translated by into the container as a kind of a role of a contributor. You can give this what that bring this translated by here next to the edited by or before edited by. Okay, why translated by is given there as a supplemental element before the container is they are equivalent to the authors. Okay, so that is why. Okay, so these are some additional information which you have to know. That's why. So some supplemental information, probably online sources. Okay, right? You have this particular DOI, but actually what is this? It's a PDF download. Okay, probably you might have some more that source, but you do not know. If you go and search on website, it is not there, but actually you have that as a PDF format. Okay, so if it is a PDF, if you download it in a PDF, you can mention that it is a PDF download. It is a PDF file. Okay, and also, see, I told you that the date of access should be mentioned. Okay, it is always better whenever you refer to some website. Okay, next to the location, it is always better to mention the date of access. Okay, so accessed, this is the format accessed 25@oct.2015. Okay, so these are supplemental elements. So this is all about citation. Okay, what cited. So you have the author, title of source, and then containers. In the containers, you have title of container, contributor, version, number, publisher, publication date, and location. And apart from that, you have supplemental elements also. Okay. So now we come to the next component of the methodology of MLA 8th edition. This is parenthetical documentation. Okay. So I know that it is more than 1.5 hours, about 1.5 hours, but it is, of course, it is difficult to consolidate everything, the whole MLA within 2 hours. Of course, I will take another 15 minutes so that we can continue and finish it. Is it okay to the audience and the organizers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So in that case, let me proceed. Parenthetical documentation. So parenthetical documentation, you know very well that these are syntax which you follow in your body of the thesis or dissertation. Okay. So you have to have in your mind the parenthetical documentation always comes within 2 brackets. Okay, 2 brackets, right? So there's no comma between the author and the page number in MLA. Okay, have that in mind. So in other formats, they will be having some kind of comma or colon. Okay, whereas here in MLA, you never have any kind of comma between the author and the page number. Okay, if you have the author's name and the title of the work, then there you can have the page number between the author's name and the title. But when you have the author's name and the page number, what happens? You should not have any kind of commas. Okay, so that is very important. And you need to have in your mind that the author's last name. I hope you remember in our citation, we just inverse the author's name. Okay, I hope you remember, we just inverse the author's name and the author's last name comes first and the remaining names comes after this comma. Okay, so this last name should be mentioned here. Okay, the author's last name, a space, and then the page number. Okay, this is how the parenthetical documentation should be done. Okay, and as here I told you, when it comes to the title of the article or any movie or something else. Okay, so within quotes in documentation, okay, in citation, in works cited, you will be having a full stop and then only you will be having the double quotes. Okay, you should be very clear that in works cited, full stop and then double quotes. Whereas in parenthetical documentation, what happened? If you close a quote, what happened? You have to close the quote and then this parenthetical documentation, and then after this parenthetical documentation only you'll be having a full stop. Okay, you should not have a full stop. Though the sentence ends with kith and kin, you are not allowed to place a full stop there next to this kin. Okay, so this full stop comes only after the parenthetical documentation is closed. Okay, so this is another thing which you have to have in your mind. Okay. Right, and the commas and periods remains same in the intention. Yes. What I said was there in the case of inline quotation or run-on quotation. Okay, run-on quotation. Only the quotations when you have the double quotes. Okay, when you quote something in the body of the thesis as part of a paragraph. Okay. It's called as a run-on quote or inline quote. Okay, you'll be introducing double quotes. If you want to put it, if it runs more than 4 lines or 3 lines in poetry, what happens? You will be bringing it separately with a kind of 10 space or 2 tab spacing, where it will be mentioned separately. That is called as indented quote. Okay, so if you indent a quote, you no need to have double quotes. Okay, in that case, this full stop or the period, it goes before this parenthetical documentation. That is something which you have to have in mind. If it is within double quotes, the period or full stop comes after the documentation. If it is a kind of indented quote, definitely it should, the period will come along with the sentence, and this what the parenthetical documentation comes separate. So you have to have this in your mind, okay? And just simplifying things which are there in the book related to parenthetical documentation. So here what happens, the author's name in the text. So different ways of representing, bringing the author's name. It is not only as in the previous case, here you have elk, the author's name is there, and the page number is there. It's not necessary to bring elk always along with, in the parenthetical document. The author's name, it's not necessary that the author's name should be there in the documentation. Or parenthesis, okay, parenthesis is the bracket, okay. You can just bring it, the author's name in the text itself. So if you say, Smith says that, and then introduce the code, it's not necessary to bring or introduce the author's name here, okay. Sometimes what happens, you can, instead of double quotes, you can just paraphrase the whole idea. When you paraphrase the whole idea, it is not necessary to have the double quotes. Even then, you have to give this parenthesis. You have to give the reference in the parenthesis. Okay. So Smith status that these facts are so and so, so blah blah blah. You have to mention which page number of this particular source you have taken this particular idea. So that is also very important. Okay. So this is the usual thing where the author's name is there in the reference. Okay. And sometimes you can, instead of mentioning the page number, okay, you can also mention the entire text for that matter. If you mention the entire text, okay, Smith's the last story has many stories, okay, or in Lamb's tales, he mentions these ideas, okay. Instead of mentioning one particular story, you can mention the whole or entire work. When you mention the entire work, it is not necessary to have the page number, okay. You have to have this in your mind, okay. And when there is no author's detail, okay, when there is no author's detail, what should you do? You can abbreviate the title of the work, okay. You have to abbreviate. People here, they have the habit of introducing a note on documentation, and they say that the title is abbreviated. Let us say Merchant of Venice means Yum Yum, and Midsummer Night's Dream means MD. Okay, this is how people abbreviate. Okay, so it is left to the guide, but what happens? MLA says that you have to abbreviate it to the first word of the particular title. Okay, this long story is the title of the work. Okay, now you can abbreviate this as you just leave out the functional words and just take the lexical words. Lexical words. I hope that you understand this. This is a functional word. Okay, so long story, and just take the first lexical word and use it here. Okay, this is how it should be abbreviated. Guidelines are also given here in MLA. Okay. So it is better to abbreviate in this form. Okay. So whenever you have in future, when you give this note on documentation, it is better to mention this as the kind of abbreviation instead of abbreviating and to kind of a regular our normal form. Okay. So here, instead when there is no author, you can just abbreviate it to the title. Okay. So let us say that there are one particular author has written many works. Okay, so it is sometimes what happens. We just Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. I am just citing Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice and Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. Right. So what happens? We just see MOF or MF. And MD, this is how we give, okay, but we should not do that, okay. We should not do that in that particular format. That's the wrong kind of usage according to MLA 8th edition. What happens here? You have to introduce the author's last name instead of William Shakespeare, comma. And now, if it is a published work in italics, okay, in italics, let us say merchant of Venice means merchant, okay, in italics, and then page number, right? Let us say if you are just mentioning Wordsworth's poems, okay. If you are mentioning Wordsworth's poems, let us say that there are some 6 poems or 8 poems or 10 poems or a number of poems which you are mentioning. Let us say Wordsworth's the Solitary Reaper, okay, the Solitary Reaper. This is one. So in one particular instance, you will be mentioning as instead of William Wordsworth, you just Wordsworth within the parenthesis, Wordsworth, comma, Solitary Reaper, solitary. Now solitary within double quotes. Whereas Shakespeare, merchant in italics because it is a published work and so it is in italics. Now here, what happened? Solitary Reaper, solitary in double quotes and not italicized. Okay, so this is something which you have to have in mind. Okay, and websites no need page numbers. Right, websites no need page numbers. So it is always better to mention the author of the website or author of the articles. Okay, that is enough. Ultimately, you need to acknowledge. That is very important. Okay, you should not leave anything unacknowledged. Okay, and more than one book by the same author. Right? What happens? You can just mention. I told you one way. You can just mention the author's name and the first. You can abbreviate to the first word of the title and then page number, and you can put it within parentheses, or you can refer to that in the text itself. Okay. In Smith's, there's a long story, a memoir. So if there are many works by Smith, then you can just mention the title of the work here in the text itself. Okay, and there in the parentheses you can give the page number alone, right? And when there are more than one author also, right, you can mention the author's names here well in the text. Okay, and that is better. So if you give the author's names in the reference, then definitely you have to mention the last name of the first author and the last name of the second author. Okay, so that is here very important. Now, see, the same line, the same quote appears in more than one work. Okay, the same quote appears in more than one work, and you are referring to both the works because you give a kind of emphasis on this particular work or particular line, a particular quote, okay, by the two authors. Then in that case, you have to mention one author, the page number, and then introduce the semicolon, the next author, and the page number. So this is how it should work. Okay, and yeah, you can see here there will be some songs. Okay, so in songs it is not possible to give the page number. Okay, so in that case, now they also say that you can give line numbers, but in general, songs can have this you can just introduce the author of the song or the poet name, and then comma, and then you can just have the title of the particular song, abbreviate the first major word. Okay, as I told you, the first lexical word should be within quotes. Okay, so this is, and if there is any indirect sources, this is also very important. MLA 8th edition once again gives importance to this also. So I have lifted some quotes said by someone. Let's say that I have lifted a quote from probably Shakespeare or some poets. Okay, so let us say that and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. But actually, I have not lifted this line from Robert Frost's poem. Okay, actually, these lines of Robert Frost are quoted by Jawaharlal Nehru in his work. Okay, so now what I do is see, though I know very well that this is a work of Robert Frost, though this is clearly a work by Robert Frost, and I know it very well, I should not quote Robert Frost here directly. I should quote the text from where I have taken this quote. Okay, so that is very important. So that is why it is mentioned as, or it should be mentioned as QTD, quoted in Nehru, and page number. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, quoted in that particular text. Okay, so though we know very well the source, you should not mention the original source. You just mention where you have taken this particular quote. Okay, so that is it. And as I told you, these are a few observations. Here paragraphs, if it is only one paragraph, it is PAR. If it is more than one paragraph, PARS. Section. See, why these paragraph sections? See, nowadays you have more e-books. Okay, e-books in the sense that we have many Kindle version books. Okay, or Mobi text. These are the different formats which people use apart from this PDF version. Okay, so if you just take a Kindle version, if you take a Kindle version, you just in a printed version probably you'll be having page numbers, but in Kindle you will not be having page numbers, because as you zoom, the page numbers will just automatically get customized. A 20-page book in a Kindle, if you zoom, it can run even up to 200 pages. Or you can even reduce it to, 15 pages or 10 pages. Okay. So in that case, how to, cite? Instead of page number, you can use paragraph number, section number. Okay. If it is an essay, you can just mention paragraph number. Or if you have various, sections in that, you can just say it's section number. In the section, you can have a number of paragraphs. It's not a problem. Okay, so you can go with that. And probably in novels, you will be having various chapters. Okay, it is very difficult to identify the paragraph number or section number or page number in a Kindle version of a novel. So you can just or PDF. Okay, so you can just say chapter number, CH for single, for to mention one chapter, and CHS for more than one chapter. Okay, and also you can find in online sources this time-based media is also. You can find, if you just refer to YouTube videos or any videos for that matter. If you are referring to one particular segment in this particular video, this particular character says this. Okay, if you are just quoting, if you are quoting this particular character's particular speech, okay, you have to be very clear that you have to mention or you have to mark the beginning and the end, the starting and the closing time of that particular conversation, okay, or particular scene, right? So that should also be mentioned. So I have highlighted everything in yellow so that you can make it or you can implement it in your work. Okay, so the time format is 00, that is hour, minute, and second. Okay, so 16 seconds to 17 seconds, very clear, it is mentioned. Okay, so this is the example of a parenthetical documentation. Okay, so if you want to alter some quotations, okay, so sometimes what happens, sometimes the quotations will be not clear. Okay, quotations will be not clear. Okay, so if you want to give some supplementary information, some additional information, what should you do? You can just see in the quotes, within quotes, you have written something to make it clear, and then what should you do? You have to add a SIC, SAC, what are the parentheses? That is very important. When you add this particular parenthesis SIC, that means you have modified it and you have provided supplementary information. Okay, and you can find here, see that you have some rule here in MLA that you can use this double quotes only for textual quotes. Okay, otherwise you should not use this double quotes. Okay, that's an exception here. Okay, to give some emphasis, sometimes we use this. We put those things which we want to give emphasis within double quotes. Okay, but here MLA 8th edition says that yes, you are allowed here to put over that double quotes for emphasis, but you have to mention that separately in parentheses that it is emphasis added. So emphasis added should be mentioned here. Okay. So again, in a quote, if you just put that in an actual textual quote, if you want to give some comment, or if you want to explain something, or if you want to add some information to make it clear, or if you want to add your opinion within a quotation mark, okay, you should introduce a square bracket. Okay, you have to include it in a square bracket. That is very important. Okay. And then, yes. So this is all about your MLA documentation and citation. And I have a few other things to practice. If time permits, I think I can discuss that also. Let's stop here, madam, or
Sir, how many more minutes needed, sir?
okay, I'll just open my Microsoft Word and just and tell you how to just make use of this Microsoft Word.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'll stop my presentation and I'll open my sharing my screen. Right?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Now, so can you see the Word documents? Can you see the Word documents?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, scholars, please note this. Whenever you open a Word document to type anything, the very first thing which you need to do is set this particular page according to your need. Okay, so that is the first thing which you have to do. So as soon as you open this Word document, you just see there is a ruler. Double click this ruler and you can see the margins. Okay, so set this margin to 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so 1 inch, and see that it is in portrait, and the paper should be A4. Most of the times paper will be in letter format. Okay, so default, so I have changed it as default here in my system, so change it to A4 format. Okay, this is the first thing, and then we just click OK. And then now there is another thing which you have to do. This is the first step, right? Once again, the last step also I will tell. When you take a printout, okay, here you have to check whether it is A4 here in the print, right? It should be A4 here in the print setup. At the same time, you go to the printer properties, okay? In the printer properties also, you have to see if the page size is A4, okay? Most of the times, this would be in letter format, okay? When it is in letter format, what happens when you take a printout? You can see the font size reduced, and you can see some space in the bottom of the page. Okay, so you have to see this. Okay, so this is the first step which I just want to tell you. And the next important feature here I just want to introduce is the references. And many of you have this Microsoft Word with you, but sorry. Yeah, references. So references has a lot of features, right? Let us say I am typing something, okay? Always see that, and before that, I just want you to categorize here. You can see heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, okay? So always see when you type, okay, introduction, and introduction, authors. When you just give a first, when you type, you just prepare a kind of skeleton, okay? When you prepare a skeleton of your whole work, then it will be very easy to work. First, give their headings, okay, headings and subheadings. Authors info, about works, and theories, okay, and then chapterization, chapters, and then chapter 2, once again here, introduction, and then point 1, theme 2, okay, whichever it be, right? This is how. Now, I would always suggest you, see here, choose introduction and select heading 1. Choose chapter 2 and select as heading 1. Okay, these are headings, and these are, okay, just give an enter, space. Right. If you want to go to the, if you want to create new page, okay, mostly you will be clicking enter, okay, don't press enter too many times, okay, that will affect your page format. Press Control and enter, it will create a new page. Okay, now authors info, this is heading 2, here about works, theories, heading 2. And if you have any other subheadings, you can just like that create heading 3 level also. So why this? See, in the outline, as such, when you see now, it is not a problem at all. Okay. Now, when you start adding content, okay, see, whenever we get some information, we will be adding content here. Okay. When you start adding content, what happens? In author's information, you will have some 2-3 pages, and about works, you'll be having 2 pages. Theories, you'll be having 2 or 3 pages, and the theories also, once again, you can have what are that headings. Okay, you can have heading 3. Okay, now you go to view, and you can see navigation pen. You click this, you can see the navigation pen here, headings. Okay. If you want to add something to theories, you just click theories and add something here. If you want to go to the page number, if you want to go to chapter 2, and then if you want to talk about if you want to add something to point 1, you can just click here, and then you can add here something. Okay. So this is how this is going to help you when you just start working. You can see the importance of this. Okay. So this is one thing about this construction or framing. And then next, this is also helpful for you to form the table of contents. Okay. So table of contents. So you can see table of contents, the introduction, which page, and these topics, which page, chapter 2, which page. Okay. After completing all these works, okay, after completing all the written works, you can delete these subheadings. Okay, you can delete these subheadings. But when you start writing, please for that write with some subheadings. Finally, you can remove the subheadings. Okay, so if you remove the subheadings now and finally, you can just see update the table of content. You can see the introduction in page number 1, chapter 2, page number 2. Okay, and if you make any change here, for that matter, if you make any change, okay, this is chapter page number 1. And if you make any change here, if you can add a number of pages, you can delete a number of pages here, introduction, and no need to go and count the number of pages. Just update the table here. Okay, you can see the page numbers are changed. Okay, so this is one feature which I just want to tell you. And likewise, there are various other features also, like inserting citation. I have used Mendeley as a kind of software, right? Here you can see, yeah, Mendeley is here. You can go to internet and search for Mendeley. Okay, right? I just have another thing to tell you. Till MLA 7th edition, this was helpful. Okay, you can just add the citations here. Just this is another important thing. Okay, so let us see the tempest. Okay. The tempest. Now, if we want some information on the tempest, I just click here and search for the tempest. You can see for that images and articles. Okay, so these are some web search results. Okay, on the tempest. As I write, as I type, if I want some information, I can use this search option. Whereas this researcher option is much more helpful. See, let us see. I just want to know about the tempest in the researcher section. Now you can see what happens. Sources, some reviews, some articles, okay, and authentic sources or authentic material, okay, which can help me in add something. See, you can open this, open reading view. You no need to go to your browser, okay. You just can, okay, yes, right. So this is something. Sorry. Dozen of articles are there. Shakespeare Theatre, open reading view. Here I can see the article. India. The whole PDF is opening. Otherwise, you can just copy something, some text from here. Yes, this is a quote which you want to copy, add and cite. You just click here, add and cite. See, you can see here, the whole content is added and it is cited here. Okay, so this is something which will be helpful for you, right? Create a bibliography. If you ask it to create a bibliography, it will create a bibliography. Okay, the details will be here, website and no date. So it is the date of access is here. Okay, so it itself will create a bibliography even for you. Okay, so this is a tool. This researcher is a wonderful tool to use. Of course, that will be more helpful. And I think there are a lot of other features also. If time permits, we will discuss it some other day, in some other occasion also. Okay, so thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And I hope students are informed at least a bit on research methodology. If there is any feedback or questions, I'm open.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, does the term research methodology and research method mean the same, sir?
Yes, you can find here research methodology can be used as research methods can also be used as methodology, but This can be used in different context also. Okay, the methods means you can find there are scientific methods are there. There are a lot of scientific methods of doing research. Okay, like sampling method and conditioning methods. Okay, so there are a lot of methods in research. Okay, so research methods can refer to that also. Whereas methodology is the way you do this research, undertake the research. Okay, so probably they can be different.
Thank you.
The session is now open for queries and feedback. Scholars are free to ask questions or clarifications by unmuting yourselves. Thank you, sir, for clarifying the queries of the scholar.
No doubt, these two things, as my teacher says, either you did not understand anything or you understood everything.
No, sir, it was truly a good session, sir. We understood many things. It was you had to cramp up many things into us, so that's definitely a difficult feat on your part. But it was really good, sir.
Thank you.
Ma'am, can we move to the vote of thanks?
If there is no more questions, then we can move to vote of thanks, dear.
Okay,
Yes,
before
sir.
moving to vote of thanks, I have to once again thank Ms. Nidya Gaudami and
Yes.
the head principal and management of PhD College for giving this also. And once again, I thank all the participants, the scholars for patient listening and praise. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience which caused by the power supply. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And I'm really feeling honored that you're here. You accepted the invitation. And we are really sorry that we couldn't provide you enough time. Obviously, we'll plan for another session to brief on this documentation and all, sir. You have initiated that. Obviously, we'll give you another session for that. Sorry for not providing enough time. Lily, you can move on for vote of thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. It's the spark that lights a fire of joy in your soul. I call upon Mrs. Sudha to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you is such a prayer that cannot be seen or touched. It must be felt by heart. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. To begin with, I thank the Almighty for making today's event a resounding success. My sincere thanks to our Secretary, Dr. T. Kannayan, and Principal, Dr. D. Brinda, for granting us permission to conduct this webinar. Next, I would like to thank our beloved head of the department, Dr. P. Ilamaran, for his valuable guidance in organizing the program. My profound thanks to our chief guest, Dr. K. Kaviarasu, for sharing his valuable thoughts on research methodology. Thank you, sir. I'm very much thankful to the faculty members of our department who always stand by us and motivate us. I owe a special gratitude to all the research supervisors and research scholars from various institutions for their active participation in the webinar. If time is money, then today you have spent million for us. Thanks to all of you for making this event a successful. Thank you all once again.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
all.
you, sir.